I said your name today. Not quietly, not in the privacy of prayer where names are usually kept safe and unheard by anyone but me. I said it out loud, in the presence of every person who ever looked at you like you were less. I did not say it as a warning to them. I said it because it was time they heard it the way I have always said it, with weight, with respect, with the kind of reverence they never once gave you. And I need you to understand something before I explain what happens next. I have been with you since before you had words for any of it, in the nursery where you first learned to reach for things beyond your grasp, on the porch steps of a childhood home where you sat alone more evenings than anyone ever noticed. I do not forget a single one of those moments. And I did not stay silent through all of it just to watch it continue. I stayed close because I was building something they could not see. You know this feeling too well. The quiet condescension dressed up as concern, the way certain people speak to you slower, simpler, as if your dreams were too big for the room you were standing in. You have sat at tables where your ideas were repeated back by someone else and suddenly sounded brilliant. You have watched opportunities handed to people who worked less and postured more, while your effort was quietly filed under, not quite ready yet. You told yourself it didn't matter. You told yourself you were used to it. But something in you kept score, even when you tried not to. You have bargained with this feeling more times than you'd admit. If I just achieve more, they'll finally respect me. If I just stop needing anything from anyone, they'll stop looking at me like I'm asking for too much. If I just get smaller, quieter, more agreeable, maybe the looking down will stop. You rehearsed your worth in front of mirrors that never once reflected it back to you the way you deserved. You apologized for taking up space in conversations you had every right to be in. You learned to expect the tilt of a chin, the pause before someone took you seriously, the subtle correction in someone's voice when they realized you weren't who they assumed. Here is what happens when I say a name the way I said yours today. It does not fade like an ordinary word spoken and forgotten. It travels through rooms you have not entered yet, into conversations you have not had yet, ahead of you like light reaching a place before the sun itself arrives. Somewhere, someone who once dismissed you will feel your name cross their mind for no reason they can explain, and it will unsettle them slightly, the way a forgotten debt resurfaces without warning. That is not coincidence. That is what happens when I choose to say a name out loud instead of keeping it quiet. It is not going to arrive as revenge, because revenge was never my language. It is going to arrive as elevation, a lifting so complete that the very people who once tilted their heads down at you will have no choice but to tilt them back up. You will feel it first in the way your voice no longer shakes before you speak in rooms that used to intimidate you. You will feel it in decisions that no longer require anyone else's approval to feel valid. Your presence will begin to carry weight it never used to, not because you are performing confidence, but because you have finally stopped negotiating your worth with people who were never qualified to set the price. The ones who once spoke to you as though your opinion needed correcting will find themselves, one day soon, asking for it. The ones who took credit for what you built quietly in the background will watch you build something so undeniable that credit becomes irrelevant. The ones who made you feel like a guest in rooms you helped create will watch you walk into new rooms as the one people wait to hear from. This is not a fantasy I am offering you to comfort you through a hard season. This is the direction your life has already begun turning, even in moments you cannot yet feel it. There is a law to this kind of lifting, though it is gentler than any deadline. It does not demand that you rush or prove yourself before some invisible clock runs out. But I will tell you this plainly, the longer you keep shrinking to match the smallness others try to assign you, the longer you delay walking into what is already yours. Not because I will take it away. I will not, but because a gift cannot be received by hands that are still closed around old wounds. Open your hands. Let the shrinking stop. What is coming does not fit into the space you learned to make yourself small enough to survive. Remember the interview where you dimmed your own accomplishments because you didn't want to seem arrogant, and watched someone less qualified speak with a confidence you never gave yourself permission to have. Remember the family gathering where you let a comment about your choices go unanswered, swallowing the correction you deserved to make, because keeping the peace felt safer than being seen fully. Remember the friendship where you kept explaining yourself long after the other person had stopped listening, hoping enough explanation might finally earn their respect. Every one of those moments taught your hands the exact shape of the space you will no longer make yourself fit into. This was never truly about the people who looked down on you, though I know it has felt that way for a long time. It was about the moment you would finally stop looking down on yourself first, before anyone else even had the chance to. Every time you accepted a smaller portion of respect than you deserved, you were rehearsing a belief that started long before those people ever met you, a belief that you had to earn your right to be looked at with dignity. That belief was never true, and it was never yours to carry. It was handed to you by people who needed you smaller so they could feel bigger. You are being lifted into your own permission now, permission to speak first in a room instead of waiting to be invited to speak. Permission to correct someone gently but firmly when they mistake your kindness for weakness. Permission to walk past the tables where you were once made to feel like an afterthought, without needing their validation to know your own value. None of this requires you to become someone harder or colder. It only requires you to stop apologizing for standing at your full height. I want to be honest with you, because I do not need urgency or fear to make this true. You do not need to rush toward this lifting to earn it. It does not expire, and it is not competing against a clock. If doubt rises in you right now as you read this, if some part of you whispers that this is too good, too far from what you have known, that doubt is not a flaw in you. It is simply the echo of every time you were taught not to expect better. I am not asking you to silence that doubt today. I am only asking you to let it sit quietly beside the truth I am offering, until, in its own time, it softens. The people who once looked down on you will not need to be told what changed. It will be visible in the calm in your voice, in the way your boundaries no longer require explanation, in the way your peace no longer waits for their permission to exist. Some of them, once they notice, will try to draw closer, curious about the shift, perhaps a little unsettled by it. You are not required to let them back into the rooms of your life simply because they finally noticed the light in you. You get to choose, freely, who is worthy of witnessing what comes next. And to the few who never looked down on you at all, the ones who saw you clearly even in your smallest, quietest seasons, their loyalty is not forgotten either. They will find their place secured beside you as this lifting continues, because nothing offered to you in genuine respect was ever wasted on me. Hold them close. They were part of this becoming long before you could see where it was leading. I have watched every version of you it took to arrive here, the version who stayed quiet to keep the peace, the version who worked twice as hard just to be seen as adequate, the version who smiled through rooms that made her feel invisible. I have not discarded a single one of those versions. They are the foundation this lifting stands on, not wasted effort, not wasted years, but the very ground strong enough now to hold what is coming. So let yourself imagine, even for a moment, walking into a room and being met with the respect you once had to fight for. Let yourself picture speaking and being heard the first time, without needing to repeat yourself until someone finally listened. Let yourself feel, even briefly, what it is like to no longer brace yourself for someone's condescension before you've even said a word. You do not need to force this into permanence today. Simply let it visit you, so that when it arrives to stay, you recognize it as familiar rather than foreign. You are not being lifted to make anyone regret their words for the sake of your satisfaction alone. You are being lifted because you were never meant to live beneath the ceiling other people's small perceptions built for you. I did not measure your worth by how well they recognized it. I measured it long before they ever had the chance to, and I have not wavered since. If you are not ready to fully believe this today, that is all right. I am not going anywhere. I was with you in every room where you were made to feel smaller than you are, and I will be with you in every room still to come, whether you walk into it slowly or all at once. There is no version of this rising that happens without me beside you, and there is no pace you could choose that would make me leave before you're ready. And when you begin to notice it, the way people's tone shifts when they speak to you now, the way your own shoulders no longer curve inward to take up less space, the way you are met rather than merely tolerated, remember where it came from. Remember that this was never about becoming someone new. It was about finally being allowed to stand at the height you always were, before the world convinced you to bend. There will be a temptation, once this shift begins, to rush back toward the very people who once tilted their heads down at you, eager to show them exactly how far you've climbed. I understand that pull, it is deeply human, and it is not something to be ashamed of. But notice it gently before you act on it. You do not owe anyone a demonstration of your becoming. Your growth needs no audience to be real, and it certainly does not need the approval of people who once found it easy to look past you as though you were furniture in their story. Let your life be the proof, quietly lived, rather than a performance staged for people who have not yet earned a seat in what comes next. Think of the ones who rise fast by stepping on others to gain height, who mistake dominance for respect and control for admiration. They climb quickly and just as quickly find themselves alone at the top, because what they built rests on other people's diminishment rather than their own steady worth. That was never going to be your way. Your rising was built slowly, in rooms no one applauded, through years that taught you patience you never asked for but will carry for the rest of your life. What is coming for you is not a fast climb that topples in the first storm. It is a foundation so deep that no one will ever again be able to look down at you and mean it. I am with you, beloved, in the standing tall as much as I was in the bowing low. I saw every eye that looked down on you. I am still watching. And what I am lifting you into now, will not be undone by anyone who once mistook your softness for something small.